It's Anonymous MD with Dr. T.
And Lisa.
Dr. T brings the real and refreshing insights, straightforward, evidence-based, and up-to-date. Now here's the doctor and Lisa.
In his long walk to freedom, Nelson Mandela says, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." I'd like to start today's episode by taking a moment of silence to honor George Floyd, his family, and the countless lives lost to racism every day. Please join me. Thank you so much,
Lisa.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again this week.
Yes. Here you are back on my screen again. Hey, buddy.
How are you? We had to take a week hiatus, but that's okay. We're going to try and roll out 2 episodes this week, which is exciting.
Yes, I'll share that my dog passed away, so we had to take a break. Dr. T was very nice about my mental health. We practice what we preach on our previous episodes about giving ourselves a little bit of grace and compassion. So there we are.
He was a legendary dog. He was a gentle giant and a very wise man. So we will miss Bosco.
That's right. He used to write most of my material, so this week is probably not going to be that good. Anyway.
Oh, he lives in you. He lives in you, Lisa.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
lives
Thanks,
within
Dr.
you.
T.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of a pivot this week, and we have a really special guest. And he's the owner and operator of the world famous SanRemo bakery. And we thought it was so important to hear from somebody who had to really adapt quickly in terms of the delivery of their services and products in response to COVID-19 and the shutdown. Rob,
That's
welcome.
Right. Welcome.
Hey. How you doing?
Great. We're so happy to have you.
I'm glad you guys asked me to come out. I think it's important to talk about this kind of stuff, and life is about learning, living and learning. So you live every day, you learn, and just kind of hopefully you correct.
How long you been doing this, Rob?
I've been doing it in business, like with my brothers, for 26 years now. But we grew up all, I would say I was in grade 6, and I would take the Mississauga Transit from Mississauga to Kipling Station, from Kipling Station to Royal York Station. I take the 76 South to the bakery to
South Bus. Yeah,
and clean toilets, scrape tables, and start building the work ethic,
So that was your dad.
No, that was us. That was us going to work in grade 5.
That's right. Your dad started the bakery, correct?
Yeah.
Your dad and his brother?
My dad originally started, and 3 of his brothers came in.
Oh, nice.
But he taught you the work ethic, is what you're saying, is,
Correct.
You took the long route, you got there, you scrubbed the toilets, and,
Yeah, there was no givens here. It was, everything was earned here, so.
That's absolutely correct. And I've been, living off of their cakes, pastries, and, other delicacies for most of my life. I think
that's a testament.
My favorite childhood treat was the rum balls from there. So I think that's a bit weird, but that's fine. It's still my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I know that when you guys at the beginning of COVID had to shut down for a little while, that it really took me for a loop, and I'm just a customer. And I mean, a customer who's there, once a week at least, probably. But nonetheless, I would love to know how that the beginning and that decision, how did that come about?
The decision, the 2 weeks prior to when the big before everything shut down is when we started noticing some big dips in our business. And when we started looking at our future orders the following week, we had gone from literally like 1,500 cakes to zero,
Wow.
and
Wow.
in a week. And
Because it was a shutdown of celebrations as well. I mean, nobody's celebrating anything right now. So who's getting a cake, right?
yeah, no one was buying anything. And then it was like our donuts were still selling, but when that started happening, it was almost like it's like internal bleeding. And then you're like, okay, if we keep open longer, we're just going to lose a lot more money.
Right.
And at this point right now, listen, we were brought up where it didn't matter your condition. You had a hurt back or whatever it is, you went to work because that was your obligation, your duty, right?
Mhm.
And something like this to shut us down was really
It blindsided everybody, including the medical community. I'll say we were completely blindsided by this. And so, yeah, go ahead, Rob. You're not the only one, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. So we decided, and we said that for the best interest of the business, it was hard because none of us wanted to do it, but we didn't have a choice. So we made the decision to lay everybody off and shut down. And that whole time we'd go back to the bakery periodically and just brainstorm what could we do. There's not one day that we sat down and said, okay, look, maybe we'll take some government help with funding to help pay. We were always the type of people to do it ourselves. And first of all, we had 165 employees, so we laid everybody off. And then when we thought what we were going to do, we had looked at everyone that was doing curbside pickup, and everyone we had talked to was just like, it was a disaster. It was like people waited, it was unorganized. So we attacked it, but so we couldn't. First of all, I couldn't keep my employees safe. If we had stayed open, there's no way I could keep my employees safe and have them work, and also have the kind of volume and turnover that I would need to succeed. It just, the average customer that walks into my store, is spending between $5 and $9. And, for us to make a profit or even to make a living or to employ people, I can't survive off that. It's too little. I would have to be open 24 hours a day.
So let me ask you a question, Rob, because we're seeing a lot of other stores now. They have these marks and stickers on the floors where they're separating people by 6 feet. And so, would you be able to continue running some kind of business like that? Whereas pre-pandemic, nobody was really caring. People were in crowds. It wasn't a big deal, So can you give us an idea of how your in-store business could still function?
As of right now, the in-store business couldn't function. So hold on, I don't want to say it can't function. It can function if I have maybe 10 people employed. But at the rate that I'm with my employees now, example, we went from 165 to now to today, we're operating with about 63 employees. So those 63 employees, I'm giving them their hours so that they can work. But again, the whole tricky part about this, when we decided to do the curbside pickup and the delivery, so just, I don't know if I'm getting off track here. We had devised
keep going.
Our website to, because again, we were 51 years in a business where it was retail. People came in, it's personable. You talk to, hey, Frank, how you doing today? Here's your Brad, how's your wife doing?
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody, and when you go from that to where you can't deal with people because you can't, number one, keep people safe, and you can't generate the amount of dollars you need to generate in order to keep that business alive. We work on volume. SanRemo is a high volume quality bakery, whereas a lot of other guys that like small shops that are surviving on social distancing, where they they allow 2 to 3 customers in at a time. They're not as big businesses or small businesses like us. They can sustain that kind of hit, or they can absorb that kind of thing because it's very minimal staff. It's maybe a husband, wife, kids, or maybe a manager like that. So it's very easy.
So you have a big payroll load.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? You guys are a small business, and you feel like a mom and pop shop where everybody knows each other, like you said, but with the caveat that your operation is huge and so efficient. And it's really efficient in terms of having people in the bakery coming in to pick up, right? You never did delivery. You never
Nope.
did online orders except for prepaying for donuts.
Correct.
And, I will say that your staff is always extremely happy. So it's not surprising to me that, of course, you made that decision to shut down based on keeping them safe, because
Correct.
it's always
That was the
amazing
right
that no
decision.
matter
And
no matter how crazy that bakery is and how many people there are, and if there's a bouncer outside waiting to let people in at Easter weekend or whatever to pick up their orders, the staff is never annoyed or short tempered. They're always happy. So their happiness and their well-being is always number one for you guys.
Well, you know what? They're an extension. Look, me and my brothers wouldn't be SanRemo. The SanRemo wouldn't be SanRemo without the people that help support our company and do what they do to make sure that we can do what we do. Like, we have a lot of good employees who take their job serious and love doing what they do. And at the end of the day, any smart business person realizes that, the last thing I want to do is, have somebody come in and, underpay them and give them like, it just, that kind of attitude or whatever it is just doesn't work no more. And it doesn't work, especially in our industry when it's a personable industry, like, food. You need to have passion in our industry. And if you don't have passion, it is probably not a good thing, so
well,
that.
and I'll say, as someone who operates in the medical field, I do believe that the mental wellness and your staff manifesting that towards their clients kind of defines the mood of the entire place and the
Yeah.
entire brand. So to have that stripped from you
Yeah.
overnight must have been like something tragic. So what kind of emotions are you guys going through when you're sitting there trying to figure this out? How are you guys doing mentally? We've been talking a lot about mental health during this pandemic, and we also talked a lot about how businesses such as yours would be affected. And part of this episode, it was to really send a message out to other business owners that it is possible and you can do it. But can you give us an idea of what you guys had to go through and what that process was like to get to where you are now?
It was just I want to say shock, because it's shock at first when you see the reality of look, prior to that 2 weeks, we were on top of the mountain. We were rocking and pumping on all cylinders, and we had created all that space upstairs, and then this thing came, and it was like like taking a piece of lint off your shirt. That's how easy it was for the business to go from on top of a mountain to, like, oh my god. And we had, just that, you take pride in especially in our industry when there's so much competition. And what we have achieved in the time that we've been there, for us, we're very proud of. But in saying that, I lost my train of thought.
Rob, in saying that, you have a lot of passion, but throughout this, like, what did you have to go through? What was going on in your mind?
When you just
Was
hit
it-
that, when you just fell off that
You know,
cliff, you know?
Yeah. How did
Yeah.
that feel, falling off that cliff?
it didn't feel good at all. It was, you don't know, like, are you going to open up? You just laid off 165 people. The responsibility of employing that many people and giving those people jobs, and now having to tell them that you can't employ them anymore, or you're laying them off. And then even the uncertainty of your business. Where is your business going from here? Last week I scheduled 85 employees to work, in the store. This week I don't have any employees. It's a roller coaster of emotions that you go through, especially when it's your bread and butter. And again, like, I was refer back to that passion. We have passion for it. It's like it was just ripped out of your chest. And the good thing about us is that we're very resilient, and we don't. When we get knocked to the ground, we get back up very fast, and we learn from our mistakes, or we learn from our environment, and we adapt really fast. But it took a good 2 weeks to just kind of detox and just kind of, like, okay, say, look, okay, we're closed. This is what happened. This was our life before. This is what we did. We no longer have that. And the uncertainty of the future, we don't know. So what do we know? And the first thing we know is, look, SanRemo is a brand name, and it's a quality product, and it's something that we built. Okay. So if we have a name that we built into pride, honesty, and quality, there's going to be a following. And then I don't mean that in an arrogant way at all. When I say like people, the amount of support that people have for us makes you feel good, because, yes, we work and we come to work and we make this product for customers to serve, but there's a sense of gratitude that we have when you see that customer that smiles, and you made their child's birthday, because you made them a nice unicorn cake or whatever, you did catering for somebody, and just that, thanks guys, or in a passing, in a funeral, or you're serving food at a funeral for them, that's all. It's part of who we are and how we built the business, right? And so all that, honest to God, it played a real like toll on us, and we were just like, man, we got to figure this out, because we're not the type of people to sit on the sidelines. We got to be in the game.
Well, I'll tell you, there are 5 stages of grief we learn about in medical school, and the acronym goes DABDA. That's how I always remembered it, and it went denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in that exact order, but that kind of gives you the spectrum of emotions we expect someone to go through when they're grieving. And for you to have all that passion and ability to show that passion stripped from you towards people that you cared about, I'm sure it was, well, I can't say I'm sure, but perhaps it was something similar to that DABDA acronym that I just went through there.
Definitely. But again, it's I'm very fortunate that me and my brothers we get along very well, and we when we put our heads together with something, we usually, again, but we had a lot of staff like helping us. When we said we were going to start delivering, we did this Routific app where it maps out all your routes, and it gives them all their packages, and gives them like time slots. It contacts the customer when they're 5 minutes away. So all these little things to try and get that little bit of service back, when we're doing our deliveries or whatnot, all added up. This didn't work. Okay, try this. Or, a lot of people were like, guys, regardless, I'm the owner and you guys work for me, you're all valuable, and you have something valuable to contribute to this. So if you see something that you think will improve, then I'm all for it. And that's what I want to hear. If you think that you see something that's not right, I want you to speak forward, because this thing has got to be done by teamwork. Now more than ever, it's about teamwork and unity.
Right. And you have one brain, and then, the more brains you add to a problem, the better it is. So
yeah. Hey, maybe they're seeing something that I'm not seeing, so usually you're stuck in your way, or if you're being stubborn, or, whatever, it could be anything, but you got to be open and willing to listen.
So how many weeks have you been doing the delivery and the curbside now?
About a month and a week.
Okay. And the first week, how was that? How was the first day of ordering?
First day ever was, we had our computer, we had a backup on the computer, and it mixed something up. And it gave us 35 deliveries for the first day and 180 curbside pickups.
Oh no!
Wow!
So that was like thrown into hell.
So traffic jam in Mimico is what happened. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Like we ran, but it was pretty efficient. And then at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what, this could work, because this was just an idea. Again, everyone was doing curbside, but they were still having their store open. They didn't really, do the technology like we did it, where you place your full order, and then it sends you a text message saying, hey, thank you for ordering from SanRemo. You've ordered it, say you ordered for the Wednesday. On that Wednesday morning, you'd get a text message saying, thank you for your order. Please proceed to the bakery with your trunk open. Text this number stating where you are. And the package.
That was you texting me directly, right? That was you personally texting me with my order when I was ready. Thank you so much. I figured.
So that was week 1.
That was day 1.
That was day one. Day 1. Okay. So then take us through what? Yeah.
And then what was the challenge the next week? Because I have a feeling that there was a new one every week.
Yeah, exactly. Nice one, Lisa. Way to get him on this track. I like it.
So you know what? So the very first day, on top of it, that week of ordering, we had 9,000 people on our website at 9:00 in the morning, and that's what made the website crash. Again, I would have never thought in a million years there'd be 9,000 people like ready to go on my website. My website.
See, I would have guessed.
I would have too, but
I wasn't surprised that it crashed.
That's not a knock, Rob. That's humility coming out of you. But a lot of people love your stuff.
So again, when we looked at that, we're like, okay, we need to fix this. There's got to be a computer that can fix this problem. So okay, so we got to make sure this doesn't happen. And then the week after, someone sent a virus, or they tried to block people from ordering.
Yes,
From
the
our,
donut
Oh
pirates.
no,
yeah,
the
yeah,
provocateurs, the people. Did I say that right, Lisa? No,
Provocateurs.
yeah,
provocateurs. Yeah,
it went from there, and then the next week was just spacing. Look, if we build these racks, as we built racks out of aluminum studding, drywall studding. When you make
right. Yeah.
we made all these makeshift racks and used the perimeter of the building, and started piling boxes. And then the next day said, hey, look, we should put some tables here, because as we work and we're packing, ergonomics works a bit, if I'm saying that word right. It plays a big
That's
part
You
in
said it perfect.
posture, all that. So
Mhm.
this is all things that we've learned from past, now that we're utilizing here. We have all these fridges that we're not able to utilize anymore, so let's put all the prepackaged product in there that the pastry chefs are making, so that when we're picking, we don't have to go up and down the stairs 500 times. We just go to the fridge, pick the product you need, and you walk away. So it was just, and every day it's something. This week we just opened up our coffee and gelato window, and using that ritual. Again, our brains are designed, or we're trained to, when somebody comes up to the door, or someone walks in your business, you serve them right away. And now it's like, I'm sorry, you need to place an order on the app. So we're not doing any human interaction there, which is worked out really well. It's worked out great. We're in the
Your gelato is speaking for you, and it's doing a decent job. So
Okay.
don't worry too much about it right now.
Well, no, and then we're planning to do something like that with veal sandwiches out the window. So right now we're in the midst to because that's the part of the business where we haven't even tapped into. Right, that whole first month that we were open was just cold cuts and cakes, pastries, donuts.
Hey, I grew up to those veal sandwiches. That's a
Yeah.
perfect idea. That's the number one next product probably that people would want out that window, I'd say.
Yeah, so we'll probably put another window. We'll figure something out, but that's in the midst.
Like, the
Go
whole
ahead.
idea is that you're figuring it out, and
Yeah.
you're troubleshooting and
Yeah.
collaborating. I would assume, with how well you guys have done, there's been a tremendous amount of humility between those brainstorming with each other, and empathy and patience, and nobody's
Look.
taking it personally.
No.
Any road bumps along the way between the brothers, or did you guys just unite and stay connected there?
We're pretty grateful and pretty appreciative to be where we are today. There's a lot of people, that have lost their jobs, and a lot of people who are going to continue to lose their jobs, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to lose a lot more than what we lost. Regardless of what we're very appreciative for where we are, and the fact that we're actually working and that we can contribute somehow. So that's what kind of keeps us grounded like that. I think we all have our difference of opinion, and we all have our point of view. At the first, my brother, Eddie, was like, "This is not going to work. This is stupid. We can't."
Yeah, he's a head baker, right? He's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
head baker. Ed.
the head-
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us about Ed.
And-
What did he say?
So he was just like, "No, this is not going to work. Like, if we're going to do this, then we have to like make all these products. But we have like 4,000 products. So how do we crunch that down? We take our top 300 products, we put them online, and we have to kind of streamline. We lost that luxury of maybe the customer walking into the store and going, can I have one of these and one of those and one of these? And, now it's just an assorted 12. It's a sorted pack. It's the only way we can sell it, because I can't possibly pump out 250 dozen donuts, have it boxed and packaged, ready to go, if I'm like individually like doing these orders where it's customized.
Now, Rob, would you ever consider doing appointment times to enter your store shop that was within all the social distancing bylaws or something like that? Or is that now, are you guys ready for that? Or do you think that this COVID-19 thing is going to kind of be here a bit longer? I mean, what's your sense? What's your gut feeling?
My gut feeling is we're going to be like this probably, I would say, until the new year. I would say, because look,
Right.
if you think now, it's they just closed the C&E, which is August and September. So you're not going to, with social distancing again.
And the C&E, just for our listeners, that's a national fair that's held in Toronto, downtown Toronto. and it's been canceled this year for the first time since World War II. Isn't that right, Lisa? Is that a
I think
fact
that's
check on? Can I
accurate.
get a
And
fact
so
check on that?
the sense that when the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition, was canceled,
That's right.
is that summer is canceled, is the
Is really
reaction
the
in Toronto.
feeling.
So
Yeah.
what Rob is saying is that was a profound decision that was made.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like it brought a lot of people there. It was, something for people to do, whether you had money or you didn't have money, or anybody could go to the CNE and have a fun day or whatever it is. But again, when something like that hits too, I think we're headed, at least till the new year, because I can't see, even myself, my business, I don't see myself opening up my retail store, not anywhere in the next 6 months. There's no way.
Right. And even if you did, you couldn't predict how much to make, how much variety to make of what, and
Well,
your
that's the
breakage
problem.
there would be difficult.
Yeah, because you're only allowing 5 to 10 people in your store at a time, right? And again, if in that 8 hour span, you let in, say, 300 customers, and 150 of those spend $10, it'll be 2 weeks before I'm bankrupt.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, just let me in every day and I'll make up the difference.
We're trying to get there for it. Rob, before the show, we were also talking a little bit about how you're doing curbside and delivery, and how there may be some seasonal factors, since we are up here in Toronto, Canada, that you may have to account for. And so, where's your mind at when it comes to thinking about that?
look, eventually, if there's a vaccine or whatever happens, and life starts to get back to normal, and say we decide to go back to that retail, I don't know how things are going to get back to normal in a, I don't know. I'm thinking of the wrong word.
It's a new normal. There's something, yeah.
And we have to get used to that change, and that's the hardest part, right? So
Yeah.
It is, but I think you guys are doing a great job. And I know that you've been iterating constantly, so I'm sure your neurons are like firing, and that like maybe you should do the Jeopardy test right now, because your brain has never worked so hard for this
Yeah.
amount of time, I bet.
Yeah, it must have been
But
intense.
yeah. And the community appreciates it a lot. I mean, it gave people a lot of hope to see that you guys could pivot, and let sort of this like Mimico giant, Mimico is the neighborhood that SanRemo Bakery is in, could pivot and give hope to the rest of the small businesses around. So,
And I just want to highlight that SanRemo Bakery, they serve people from every ethnic, creed, or color. It's a great community, lots of different backgrounds living together, and you guys are the life of the strip. And without your activity, I think a lot of the other businesses in the area would have also suffered as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, look, man, we've been very fortunate in our lives to be where we are. Again, I go back to that because we're humble people, and when you have the support from the community like we've had, and the calling that we've had, like for just our customers, especially social media, sometimes people are chirping, or saying some negative stuff, and
It's a rough place in social
it
media.
is. But you know what, I get it. Listen, when you're on your game, people want to take a shot at you, and that's okay too. It just means that you just have to work harder, right? So for us,
And stay humble.
yeah, we it's important to stay humble. I don't ever want to forget where I came from, because we weren't always this successful. It was a grind for 20, good 15 years of hard grind, where you worked 14, 15 hours a day, and you saved every penny. And I was making at that time $3 an hour, and I was paying the ladies that worked for me $7 an hour.
Well,
I was
it's something so important that needs to be ingrained in our youth, is this
yeah,
discipline and this work ethic, and this idea that, money doesn't come easy, and
no,
success doesn't come easy, and that feeling of having a purpose in life doesn't come easy.
yeah,
And the only pathway towards that is through those early lessons of discipline and hard work. And so, one of the main messages I'm getting from you is just, how important your upbringing was, and how I feel maybe you give your dad some credit for a lot of the success that you guys are having.
I give him all the credit. He's, we're very lucky when we took over our business, and you can imagine from my dad's point of view, he was the guy that invested, create, and built that name.
He took the risk.
Yes, he did. And then, then the three boys come along and change it, kind of take it out of his hands. And it's hard for him to accept that. It's hard for him to see, like this was his baby that he built, but he's been very good on the fly and in adapting to, when we first, like, again, this goes back 20 years when we first did the renovation in the bakery. Everyone told us we were crazy for doing that. Because just, in that industry, to get return on your dollar like that is just very difficult. And he was just very supportive. And look, I don't think you should do this. Maybe you should do this. And he was always there and always supported us. Never. That's one thing I'm very grateful for is his dedication to us and his patience with us to teach us what we know. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we were without that. That's the truth.
Well, we're all very grateful in this neighborhood for your family. And the fact that you guys don't give up.
No, never give up.
Never
Give up. Never quit unless it's cigarettes.
That's
yes.
right.
Or any other addiction.
Yes.
It's the only
Right.
time you quit.
Except
That's
for
right.
donuts. That's a fine addiction. It's normal.
Yeah.
Well, everything in
know what?
moderation, but we need happiness. We need
That's right.
happiness in the form of those donuts.
We
That's
do.
right.
And my final question to Rob is, what is your number one favorite thing to eat from the
Ooh,
bakery?
Good question.
Uh,
Oof.
honestly, the one thing that I crave the most, like it doesn't matter if I go on vacation and then when I come back, it's that I crave veal sandwiches. It's
Yeah.
Okay.
mushrooms and
Can I ask
With mushrooms
a
and hot
follow-up
peppers?
question?
Do you put
That's what I was
cheese
going
on
to
there
ask.
too?
no, I'm not a cheese guy.
No.
I'm a,
No.
Not a
Okay.
cheese
Well, this
guy.
is how this
Mushrooms
is,
and
guys.
hot peppers,
Ladies and
there you go.
gentlemen, Rob Bozzo, mushrooms and hot peppers on his veal sandwich.
There you go, folks.
Pro
Thanks
tip.
for that, Rob.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
such
so
a pleasure
much.
having you and giving us a perspective. And I think it's a message of hope to business owners out there that are working really hard to pivot and change their business model. That you guys are going through it together, and it's not easy. But sometimes you need and we talked about this a lot. You need adversity, and you turn that into opportunity.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rob.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it was our pleasure, and we wish you all the best, my
We'll
friend.
see you soon.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. Subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast. On YouTube, smash that bell. That's a notification button. Anytime the doctor knows something, so will you. Stay healthy. See you next time.